Gilligan's Island, 1964 to 1992, captured the hearts of audiences around the world with its fun adventures, charming characters, and unforgettable comedy. For years, fans laughed along with the castaways as they tried to escape their tropical island. But behind the scenes, life wasn't always as cheerful for the stars of the show. After 61 years, in 2025, many of the beloved cast members have faced dramatic changes, from personal tragedies and health battles to heartbreaking losses and inspiring moments of success. Let's take a look at what really happened to the cast of Gilligan's Island over the years, and where they are now. Bob Denver was born on January 9, 1935, and played the role of Gilligan, the lovable but accident-prone first mate of the SS Minnow, in Gilligan's Island starting in 1964 when he was 29 years old. Gilligan was often the cause of the island's various calamities, unintentionally wreaking havoc on the lives of his fellow castaways with his innocent, bumbling nature. The character's charm lay in his heart of gold, which was often overshadowed by his clumsiness and ability to turn every situation into a disaster. While his portrayal brought much-needed humor and warmth to the show, Denver's real life was marked by struggles and personal tragedies that cast a dark shadow over his career. Bob Denver's life post-Gilligan's Island spiraled as he struggled with typecasting and career setbacks, failing to escape the shadow of his iconic role. His personal life was equally turbulent. He was married twice, but both unions were marked by hardship. His first marriage to Margaret ended in divorce, and his second marriage to Dreama Denver had its own challenges, with financial issues and strained relationships. His biggest personal challenge, however, came from his constant battle with alcoholism, which overshadowed much of his adult life. Bob Denver's health declined after a battle with cancer, and despite undergoing treatment, he passed away on September 2, 2005, at the age of 70. Jim Bakus was born on February 25, 1913, and at the age of 51, he took on the role of Thurston Howell III in Gilligan's Island, a wealthy, pompous businessman who often found himself out of place on the primitive island. Howell's character, with his upper-class attitudes and tendency to clash with the others over their lack of refinement, became one of the show's most memorable figures. However, Jim Bakus' career and personal life tell a much more sorrowful tale. Despite the success of Gilligan's Island, Bakus struggled with an inner conflict as he was frequently cast in similar roles, never quite breaking free from his typecasting. His personal life was plagued by the pressures of Hollywood and his desire for more meaningful roles, which eluded him. Bakus was married to Henny Bakus, and though their union lasted for many years, their relationship was not without its challenges, particularly as he faced battles with illness and growing dissatisfaction with his career. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of his life was his battle with progressive health issues, including vision problems that severely impacted his quality of life. Bakus passed away on July 3, 1989, at the age of 76 from complications related to pneumonia. His death marked the end of a lengthy battle with health complications, which were exacerbated by the stress of his long career. Alan Hale Jr., born on March 8, 1921, was the iconic skipper on Gilligan's Island, a character he portrayed at the age of 43 when the show first aired in 1964. The skipper, who served as the protector and somewhat gruff father figure of the castaways, was a stark contrast to Gilligan's clumsy but well-meaning nature. Hale's portrayal of the skipper was beloved, but his real life was a tragic reflection of the emotional turmoil he faced. While he had enjoyed a career in Hollywood, his success was followed by financial instability, leading to personal struggles as he faced mounting debts. As an actor, Hale was often relegated to playing similar roles, and this limited his career prospects, resulting in growing frustration and feelings of inadequacy. In his personal life, Hale married and had children, but his family life was marred by separation and emotional strain. His health also began to deteriorate during the final years of his life, and after being diagnosed with thyroid cancer, he passed away on January 2, 1990, at the age of 68. Despite his enduring role as the skipper, Hale's personal life was full of painful battles, from failed career efforts to the deep sadness of watching his own health deteriorate. Natalie Schaefer, born on November 5, 1900, portrayed the wealthy and sophisticated Mrs. Lovey Howell in Gilligan's Island, a role she began at the age of 64 when the show premiered in 1964. Schaefer's portrayal of Mrs. Howell as a pampered socialite, constantly out of touch with the harsh realities of island life, was a beloved part of the series. Lovey's snobbish comments and attempts to maintain her high society demeanor provided comic relief to the audience. However, behind the scenes, Natalie Schaefer's life was far from glamorous. Despite being a talented and respected actress, she endured years of emotional hardship. Her personal life was marked by the painful absence of romantic happiness. She was married to actor Louise in the 1940s, but the marriage ended in divorce. Schaefer never remarried, and rumors swirled about her heartbreaks and unfulfilled desires. She spent her later years reeling from the death of her beloved mother, which left her lonely and desolate. Her battle with cancer in her final years was agonizing, and she passed away on April 10, 1991, at the age of 90. The years before her death were spent in seclusion, a far cry from the opulent characters she portrayed on television. Despite the recognition she earned from her role as Lovey Howell, Schaefer's life was full of private sorrow, loneliness, and unhealed wounds. Russell Johnson, born on November 10, 1924, was 40 years old when he began portraying the calm and intellectual Professor Roy Hinckley in Gilligan's Island in 1964. Johnson's role as the scientist who used his knowledge to create escape plans and help the castaways survive on the island made him a fan favorite. However, his life off-screen was far more tragic and fraught with difficulties. Johnson's early career was marked by uncertainty and struggle, as he found himself cast in numerous supporting roles that failed to secure him steady work. Even though Gilligan's Island gave him some recognition, his post-show years were full of setbacks. Johnson's first marriage to actress Connie Sutherland ended in a bitter divorce after several years, leading to a profound emotional toll on him. He remarried in the 1970s, but this second marriage also ended in tragedy with his wife's untimely death. Johnson was left heartbroken, alone, and faced the difficult process of raising his children without his beloved partner. His health declined over the years, and he found himself battling kidney failure, which eventually led to his death on January 16, 2014, at the age of 89. Despite the popularity he enjoyed as Professor Hinckley, his later years were marked by physical decline, personal loss, and a series of emotional struggles that left him feeling isolated and forgotten. Tina Louise, born February 11, 1934, and known for her role as Ginger Grant, the glamorous movie star, in Gilligan's Island, began her career at the age of 30, when the show first aired in 1964. Ginger, with her stunning beauty and acting talents, charmed both the castaways and the audience, often becoming the center of attention with her effortless grace. Despite her on-screen allure, Louise's off-screen life was filled with deep loneliness and personal misfortunes. Her career took a troubling turn after Gilligan's Island, with few roles that could compare to her breakout success. Tina's love life was equally tumultuous. She was married to actor and director Les Crane, but their relationship was fraught with difficulties. They divorced after only a few years, leaving Louise devastated by the end of their marriage. Tina also faced the painful heartbreak of not having children, something that she longed for deeply. In the years that followed, she often found herself isolated and bitter about the trajectory of her career and personal life. Despite this, Tina found solace in a series of smaller roles and eventually made peace with her legacy as Ginger. However, in 2025, at the age of 91, Tina Louise remains largely reclusive, often reflecting on a career that was both a blessing and a curse, forever tied to a role she could never truly escape. Dawn Wells was born on October 18, 1938, and played the role of Mary Ann Summers in the iconic TV show Gilligan's Island that aired from 1964. At the time, she was just 26 years old, bringing to life the sweet, innocent, and charming farm girl, whose kindness and grounded nature made her an enduring favorite. Mary Ann was often the voice of reason and a caretaker, known for her practicality and unwavering optimism in the face of adversity. However, in reality, Dawn Wells' life took a tragic turn as she battled through a series of personal struggles after the end of the show. Despite her popularity, Dawn's post-Gilligan's Island career struggled to take off, leaving her constantly in the shadows of her role as Mary Ann. Her personal life was marked by deep disappointment, as her first marriage ended in divorce in the 1960s. Her second marriage also dissolved, leaving her heartbroken and searching for happiness. Throughout her life, she faced financial difficulties, including a troubled relationship with money that led her to declare bankruptcy in 2020, years after her career had dried up. As she aged, Wells faced another harsh blow with her battle against health complications. In 2020, just months before her death, Wells contracted COVID-19, which exacerbated her already fragile health. She passed away on December 30, 2020, at the age of 82. Veto Scotty, born on January 26, 1918, was 47 years old when he portrayed the mad scientist Dr. Boris Balinkoff on Gilligan's Island in 1965. His character was eccentric and sinister, bringing a dark edge to the otherwise lighthearted show. A versatile actor, Scotty's career spanned over 5 decades, and his portrayal of various characters left an indelible mark. Yet, behind the scenes, Scotty's life was far from the happy-go-lucky nature he often played on screen. His career, though decorated, was marred by long periods of unemployment and typecasting, which forced him to take on roles that rarely matched his true talents. His personal life was just as tumultuous. Scotty's marriage was strained, with numerous reports of long-lasting tensions and emotional distance. Despite being a dedicated father, his family life was rocked by these unspoken struggles, and he faced long periods of emotional isolation. In his later years, Scotty battled cancer, which took a toll not only on his health but also on his spirit. He passed away from cancer on June 5, 1996, at the age of 78, leaving behind a legacy that was overshadowed by personal tragedies and health battles that shaped much of his final years. His death marked the end of a life full of both professional acclaim and personal misfortunes, a stark contrast to the bold characters he portrayed. Hans Conreed was born on April 15, 1917, and appeared on Gilligan's Island in 1964 at the age of 47, taking on the quirky role of Wrong-Way Feldman. Feldman was an eccentric and bumbling aviator who never seemed to navigate in the right direction, much to the amusement of the audience. Conreed, however, was not just a gifted comedian known for his distinctive voice, but also a man whose personal life was filled with sorrow and unspoken regrets. Despite his success in entertainment, he was constantly battling the ghosts of his own emotional turmoil. His marriage, which began with much hope, collapsed under the weight of his personal insecurities, leading to years of unspoken tension and disillusionment. Though he fathered 2 children, Conreed's family life was far from the comedic bliss he portrayed on screen. His children reportedly struggled with his emotional distance, as his fame did little to ease the inner turmoil he wrestled with. As he aged, Conreed's mental health deteriorated, and by the time he passed away at 64 on January 5, 1982 from cardiovascular disease, he had been isolated for several years. His death, while a natural one, seemed to mirror his life, a quiet end to a man whose once vibrant career was overshadowed by the personal demons he could never quite escape. Chick Hearn was born on November 27, 1916, and voiced the commentator in Gilligan's Island in 1967 at the age of 51. The commentator, with his sarcastic and humorous insights, added a unique layer of entertainment to the show, narrating the chaotic events from an outside perspective. Hearn's work in sports broadcasting overshadowed his acting career, but his voice on Gilligan's Island still became iconic. Behind the scenes, however, Hearn struggled to balance his demanding career with his personal life. His intense devotion to his job led to the breakdown of his marriage, and he spent much of his personal life feeling disconnected from his family. Despite his professional success, he experienced deep loneliness and isolation, unable to create lasting relationships outside of his work. His emotional struggles only deepened in his later years, as the physical toll of aging took its toll on him. Hearn's career remained remarkable, but it was clear that his personal happiness was sacrificed in the pursuit of success. In 2002, at the age of 85, he passed away due to complications from a fall, leaving behind a legacy of brilliance in sports commentary but a personal life marked by solitude and regret. Denny Miller, born on April 25, 1934, portrayed Duke Williams on Gilligan's Island in 1965 at the age of 31. Duke was the quintessential charming man, the athlete whose good looks and physical prowess stole the spotlight, making him a memorable part of the ensemble cast. Miller's career, which started with such promise, ultimately fell victim to the entertainment industry's harsh realities. His attempt to parlay his on-screen charisma into a lasting career was marred by repeated typecasting, leaving him with few opportunities to break free from his image as the handsome, muscular leading man. His personal life was marked by turmoil, as he struggled to find happiness in his relationships. Miller married twice, but both unions ended in divorce, and despite having children, his family life was a series of disappointments. His children grew up in the shadow of a father who was emotionally distant and often absent, absorbed in his struggles to maintain his place in a rapidly changing industry. As his career faltered, Miller faced the cruel reality of growing older in a profession that often discarded its stars. In his later years, he was diagnosed with ALS, a devastating disease that would rob him of his physical abilities. He passed away on September 9, 2014, at the age of 80 due to ALS. John Gabriel, born on May 25, 1931, was 61 when he appeared as the professor in the 1992 Gilligan's Island reunion. The professor was the voice of reason and intellect amidst the castaways' chaotic lives, always finding solutions to their many survival problems. However, Gabriel's personal life was far more complicated than his character's calm demeanor. Despite his professional success, Gabriel's family life was filled with difficulties. His two marriages were both troubled and ended in divorce, and his relationship with his children remained distant. The emotional toll of balancing his career with personal dissatisfaction led to depression and a sense of failure. Gabriel often felt disconnected from his own happiness, as the pressures of his acting career and personal struggles weighed heavily on him. His later years were spent reflecting on his choices, but despite this, he remained somewhat detached from the world around him. On June 11, 2021, at the age of 90, Gabriel passed away from natural causes, leaving behind a legacy of acting that was overshadowed by personal turmoil and regret. Despite his intellectual roles on screen, Gabriel's life was marked by unfulfilled dreams and a sense of lost opportunity. Russ Grieve was born on November 5, 1923, and appeared as the headhunter in Gilligan's Island in 1965 at the age of 42. The headhunter was a mysterious, threatening figure, a wild-eyed villain who brought an intense, sinister presence to the island, elevating the show's level of suspense. Despite his memorable role, Grieve's career was sadly marked by personal struggles and unfulfilled potential. While he found minor success in television, his later years were overshadowed by increasing personal difficulties. The actor's private life was troubled, and he faced financial instability that haunted him through his final years. His marriage, which he had hoped would provide some stability, ended in a bitter divorce, leaving him estranged from his children, who struggled to understand their father's increasing isolation. Grieve battled depression and was reportedly abandoned by close friends and colleagues who grew weary of his erratic behavior. His tragic death on October 22, 1980 at 56, which remains shrouded in mystery with an unknown cause, marks the sad end to a promising actor whose life seemed to have been marred by the very same darkness he portrayed on screen. As the years wore on, he became a forgotten figure, a relic of an era, tragically overshadowed by personal misfortunes that ultimately led to his demise far too soon. Mel Blanc was born on May 30, 1908, and at the age of 56, he lent his voice to the iconic parrot on Gilligan's Island in 1964. Known for his incredible range of voice work, Blanc's portrayal of the parrot was just a tiny piece of his vast body of work that included creating the voices of Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and many other legendary cartoon characters. Despite his immense success, Blanc's life was filled with dark chapters. His personal life was overshadowed by the tragic incident of 1961 when he was involved in a near-fatal car accident that left him in a coma for several weeks. The physical and emotional toll from this event left Blanc deeply affected for the rest of his life. Moreover, his career, although legendary, was often a source of immense stress. He struggled to manage the pressure of being the voice behind so many famous characters, leaving him isolated from the real world. Blanc's family life also faced difficulties, as his marriage, though lasting, had its moments of strain, and he often spoke of the loneliness that came with the fame and the nature of his work. His health took a significant hit in his later years, as he battled heart disease and emphysema, ultimately passing away on July 10, 1989, at the age of 81. George N. Nys, born on February 16, 1917, appeared as the interviewer in Gilligan's Island in 1966 at the age of 49. Nys' character, the inquisitive and often humorous interviewer, sought to uncover the secrets of the castaways, but his own life was far more complicated and tragic than any fictional tale. Despite being part of such an iconic show, Nys' career in Hollywood was lackluster and largely unremarkable. His life, both professionally and personally, was marred by a series of failures. His numerous attempts to gain recognition in the acting world never came to fruition, and his personal life was filled with broken relationships. He was married multiple times, but each relationship ended in divorce, leaving Nys with a deep sense of loneliness and emotional distress. His strained relationships with his children, combined with financial difficulties, left him feeling isolated and unaccomplished. Nys' personal demons followed him through his later years, overshadowing his fleeting success on Gilligan's Island. In 1996, George N. Nys passed away from cancer at the age of 79, leaving behind a life defined by unrealized potential and personal regrets. His passing was marked by a somber reflection on a man whose dreams had been dashed both in Hollywood and in his own family life. Who is your favorite character from Gilligan's Island? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.